Hello and welcome to the Ralph Retort Rundown. I am your host, Ethan Ralph, aka The Ralph, owner and editor-in-chief of TheRalphRetort.com. Today, I am joined by the senior political analyst for TheRalphRetort.com, Seattle for Truth. How you doing, man?
Hey.
Alright, so we have been putting out a lot of content on YouTube. I got the interview with Bering, just did a stream with... Actually, I was on there after Naked Ape left in disgrace, but he was debating Wild Goose. We're doing all kinds of shit, but today we're here to talk about Black Lives Matter and their war with, with the Jews, basically.
They declared war on Israel.
That's not, it's not a good idea, usually. Israel, is known to usually win. And their constituency groups are known to be pretty powerful in Washington, especially in left-wing politics. It's funny because I know that like a lot of far-left people don't like Israel, and even I don't consider myself far-left anymore, but I still have a little bit of a problem with Israel myself. But if you look at the like mainstream Democratic coalition, the politician groups, where the money's coming from, the Jewish state of Israel has a shitload of power, and they still command a lot of respect in terms of elected officials.
I think a majority of Jews actually vote Democrat.
Well, yeah,
or they used to anyway.
No, they still
used
do.
to.
Well, they still
we'll
do. I mean, we don't know what happens going to happen this year, but as of now, they still do.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of Jews are not actually religious; they're pretty much atheists and shit too. So.
But I mean, that even a lot of the Jews in Israel aren't necessarily religious. It's
That's
like
true,
a cultural and ethnic thing, and
the way they structured the state of Israel, the religious parties have more power than they actually do numbers because of the way they structured it, which is another reason why they always have coalition governments and stuff. But
so this isn't gonna be like a hate on Israel thing. We're just gonna try and like lay out the facts of what's going on here, because there's some pretty crazy moves being made and some unprecedented things going on with major players.
Yeah, it's not a hate on Israel at all. It's really about the war within the Democratic or left wing coalition. It's not even about Israel. That would be a whole separate stream if we were talking about what Israel's doing and the Middle East and stuff like that. So why don't you tell us about it in general, and then I'll talk about these articles in specifics.
Well, as most of you all know by now, on Monday, a Black Lives Matter offshoot group called the Movement for Black Lives, which is a coalition of, I believe, 65 plus Black Lives Matter organizations, they got together and approved this official list of demands for their policy that they want to have implemented to transform America, right? Some of their policies are batshit crazy, like they want to abolish the police and, get free money and enslave all the non-blacks so that we have to provide everything for them for the rest of their lives for free while we're all, enslaved. But another thing in there was they declared that Israel is an apartheid state, and they said that they're committing genocide against all the Palestinians, which is a little weird because Palestinians have actually been growing in population this whole time, but that's a funny way to do genocide. But yeah, so they declared basically war on Israel and said they're going to side with their Palestinian brothers against Israel. And
yeah, should I read this? Let me read this.
Yeah.
From the Oy article. Oy nice headline, by the way. That made me laugh when I read it. It made me laugh just now again. Israeli Jews find out that Black Lives Matter just declared war on them. And then this is from an article at Israeli National News that you excerpted. While the bulk of Black Lives Matter platform lambasts the United States for what it deems systemic racism, the document also singles out one foreign country for not only criticism but specific policies. In fact, while there is scant reference to other countries in the document, Israel is mentioned 10 times and Palestine 9 times. And while other countries are mentioned in passing, Israel is the only foreign country targeted by the platform. Israel is referred to as, quote, a human rights violator in the BLM platform, and indeed is the only country mentioned by name in that regard. After accusing Israel of systemic discrimination against Palestinian Arabs, apartheid-like policies, and even outright genocide, the platform calls for an end to U.S. foreign aid to the Jewish state, which should instead be diverted to reparations for victims of American war-making like Iraq and Libya, as well as African Americans descended from slaves in the American South. Quote, Israel's an apartheid state with over 50 laws on the books that sanction discrimination against the Palestinian people, the platform claims, alleging that there is an Israeli genocide taking place against the Palestinian people. So, yeah, that's pretty strong language there in a platform that really has nothing to do with...
And so they're saying, take all the money away from the Jews and then give it to terrorists.
I mean, one could definitely look at it that way. It does seem to be... Like, why is Black Lives Matter getting involved in foreign policy in the first place?
That's what nobody really understands. Like, why they're even... But the truth is, they just become so radicalized and so extreme that they have like a reckless... abandon. They're just going all out right now because nobody's telling them no. Like, they don't have anybody telling these people, that's not the right thing to do. And if they do, they just blame and say, oh, you're racist if you think that that's not what we should be doing. You're just you're just an oppressor. They become so radicalized. They don't even care anymore. But it's causing serious repercussions already, because that article was written by an Israeli newspaper. But then the American Jewish groups, like the Anti-Defamation League, has now come out against Black Lives Matter. And here's where that's interesting, because the Anti-Defamation League was one of the biggest proponents of Black Lives Matter all along, so much so that they had a massive program intended to inject Black Lives Matter indoctrination courses into K through 12 education nationwide. They're trying to brainwash the nation's youth to make them all believe in Black Lives Matter. But guess what? Every single reference to Black Lives Matter on the Anti-Defamation League website has been completely deleted at this point. Anti-Defamation League is pretending like Black Lives Matter never even happened. They're dead to them. They don't want anything to do with them. So the good thing to come about this is that they're not going to be brainwashing our kids in school anymore, because now Black Lives Matter is against Jews.
And we mentioned how on my website I mentioned about Anita Sarkeesian working with the ADL to get her type of indoctrination into the schools, and they're very good at that type of thing, by the way.
Yep, and that's the thing. ADL has very close ties with the education system, and especially Common Core, to put in, like, basically any social issue that they want. If they
it's
want
social engineering, that's what it's all about. That's why they fight to slip things in.
But it's interesting that, I mean, it's almost like I'm kind of reminded of, like, back in World War II, when Hitler just out of nowhere declares war on the United States when he really didn't have to. And if he hadn't have done that, the United States wouldn't even have gone to war with him, and we would have just gone to war against Japan.
Yeah, that's one of his
he
blunders.
Basically, like, out of nowhere, he went to war with somebody that he didn't have to, and now it's going to end up, and then it ended up screwing him. Well, that's what Black Lives Matter is doing right now. They're declaring war on Israel when it has nothing to do with anything, but it's going to have repercussions that actually damage them.
All right, let me read this. This is from your article, Intersectionality Run Amok, Anti-Defamation League and AJC Reject BLM Demands. I believe that's the American Jewish Council. Is that right?
Jewish Committee. Yeah.
Committee.
American
All
Jewish
right,
Committee.
close. Okay, the tweet linked to a post on Medium by the National Director and CEO of the Anti-Defamation League. In that article, he urges BLM to, quote, keep their eyes on the prize. Is that Foxman? Hold on, let me see who wrote this. Abraham Fox, but now it's somebody else. I don't even know if Foxman still runs the ADL or not, but for decades we've been working closely with our civil rights partners in the hard fight to advance a shared agenda of equality, justice, and respect for human dignity through leadership work in education, legislation, and litigation. Where possible, we want to engage with a range of activists to achieve these goals. But would-be allies in the struggle for civil and human rights, along with justice and fair treatment, cannot ignore the platform's false and blatantly one-sided position on U.S.-Israel relations and Israel-Palestinian issues. Well, let me scroll down so people can read it too. We categorically reject the document's criticism of the United States and Israel as being complicit in the genocide taking place against the Palestinian people. The Jewish community knows too much about genocide. Uh-oh. My 6 gorilla. Whatever one's position on the relationship between Israel, its Palestinian citizens, and the residents in the West Bank and Gaza, it's repellent and completely inaccurate to label Israel's policies as genocide. And you know what? I gotta say, I believe that too. I don't think it's fair to call that.
No, whatever
genocide.
criticism you have.
You know, I have
calling
plenty
it
of
genocide,
criticisms with Israel, but I don't think it's fair to call that genocide.
But this is just, I mean, that very same list of demands. Also, the number one demand was in the war against black people. So it's like.
Yeah, it's like, all right, you guys took it too far. Even I have problems with Israel, too, but you can't, I mean, calling it genocide, of course they would take it too far because they're BLM, they're sick. But anyway, let's continue. And the platform completely ignores incitement and violence perpetrated against Israelis by some Palestinians, including terror inside the country and rocket attacks lobbed from Gaza. Unfortunately, these phenomena are not new, but have been challenges that have faced the Jewish state since its inception more than half a century ago. We strongly disagree with the platform's erroneous broad-brush conflating of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict with civil and human rights abuses discussed in the document. Although Israel is far from a principled focal point in the more than 40,000-word document, it's the irresponsible and completely over-the-top references to the Jewish state, as well as later gross mischaracterizations of Israel as an apartheid state, and calls for support of the BDS movement, that stands for boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel, that alienate us and bear little resemblance to reality. These points are wrong on the facts and offensive in tone. Importantly for ADL and many in the Jewish community, such false characterizations and misguided calls to action distract us from the task of addressing other critically important justice and equality priorities, so let's work to keep our eyes on the prize. Another prominent American Jewish organization, the American Jewish Committee, also had similar sentiments. Sad to see some Black Lives Matter activists hijacking an important social justice platform to smear Israel. Intersectionality run amok. And that is oy vey right there. Definitely. That was a good way to put it.
It's another shower.
They were off. They were all down for BLM, but
but that's what's interesting about it is, like he said, you know, he's like, we agreed with him on everything, but apparently there's one thing that was a deal breaker for him, and I could see why, because they know that, like, they pretty much lost hope in Black Lives Matter. They just see it as an anti-Semitic movement now. So if they're promoting that, they know that like, if they teach kids to get involved with Black Lives Matter, they know that Black Lives Matter is just going to radicalize people against Israel. And so they don't want that. So now they're cutting all support, pretending like they never had any relationship with Black Lives Matter at all and pretending like it never happened. But hey, at least our kids aren't going to get brainwashed.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a good silver lining there.
We should have convinced Black Lives Matter to turn against Israel a long time ago.
All right, now let me pull this up. There's another article we got here too.
Oh yeah, I just wrote an update because now it's a Jewish civil war. It turns out that not all of the Jews have turned against Black Lives Matter. Some of them have came out in support and said we agree with Black Lives Matter and that Israel is a genocidal state. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's all right, let's see. I'm trying to scrub down. My ad is actually blocking me. That's funny. Jewish Voice for Peace, which supports the movement to boycott, divest from, and sanction Israel, released a statement unconditionally supporting the newly released platform of the Black Lives Matter movement, which in part accuses Israel of committing genocide. JVP said it was deeply disappointed in other Jewish organizations for condemning the platform, calling on them to instead support the movement for Black Lives. These Jewish organizations are rejecting a thorough and inspiring transformational set of policy ideas developed by a broad coalition of black leaders, simply because these black leaders have explicitly linked the experiences and struggles of Palestinians with their own, the JVP statement said. We should all take this opportunity to reflect on the impact of Israeli policy and the interconnected nature of violence around the world, the organization told JTA. Bend the Arc, a progressive Jewish group focused on domestic policy, also released a statement praising the platform Friday. The statement acknowledged the deep pain and outrage felt in the Jewish community due to the language on Israel, but said that these differences should not distract from the broad agreement that exists within the progressive and Jewish community on the need for a bold racial justice agenda. The movement for Black Lives has done extraordinary and powerful work raising consciousness about the harms inflicted on black communities in the United States and our collective need to transform the systems that perpetuate this violence, Ben the Ark statement read. It is our belief that our country will be made more whole, more inclusive, and more just because of this courageous racial justice movement.
Racial justice. It's not even social justice anymore. They just want racial justice.
It's all, man. Hopefully these people just tear each other apart. That would be good.
Well, they are. They're not only tearing each other apart, but the reality of the situation is that those list of demands are so completely. I mean, it's literally as radical as you could get. When you're calling for full Marxism and the abolishment of all police and just have mob rule, I mean, that's not even America. That's everything that we're against. It's completely unrealistic, and anybody who's not a complete wacko laughs at it. I mean, they were talking about this with Bill O'Reilly and Charles Krauthammer, and they were both laughing about it. Like, I mean, anybody who reads this, and all you can think of is, well, there goes Black Lives Matter, because they've turned themselves into this overgeneralized it's not even far left. It's pure Marxist / anarchist. I mean, they want a state, so it's not pure anarchy, but they're calling for the abolishment of police and to have mob rule, and they want a racially segregated state with different I don't know. I mean, it's completely fucking twat, and anybody with a brain knows that. Like, only a pure Marxist, which is like maybe
these black spaces, and we can only be with other black people, and this shit's literal segregation. I mean, I've seen some old school liberals, and they see this and they're like, what the fuck?
They want
this?
different jurisdiction and different courts for different races. They want black people to have their own courts and stuff. So I mean, none of this, like, the only way any of this could get implemented is if you completely is if there was a nuclear war and all our government was completely destroyed, and then you created a new system out of scratch from anarchy. Like, that's the only way you would even get the system. And maybe that's what they're going for eventually. I don't know, but they're completely unrealistic if they think that majority of the people are going to be shamed using white privilege into thinking that we should abolish the police, or to be thinking that we need that whites need to give money for blacks for the whole life to pay for everything. I mean, it's just that's slavery to blacks is what they want. They want to get back at us for enslaving them, supposedly, even though I never owned a fucking slave.
Yeah, I never owned a slave either, point in fact.
But they want to get back at white people for owning slaves by enslaving all whites. I mean, that's literally what they want, and it's not even deniable. That's what I'm so glad about all of this, because I was saying this shit about Black Lives Matter for the whole time. But you know what I heard from other people when I'd say shit like their black supremacist movement? I'd hear, "You're a racist. They don't want that. They just want black lives. They just want the police to stop killing them." Well, guess what? Now nobody could fucking say that. Now if they say that, I go, "Oh, read their policy list of demands, because they're a fucking Marxist group that wants to abolish the police." They are an anti-police group. They are. I mean, this isn't even.
I mean, they literally say it now. There's no. You don't have to argue it. Like, it's right there in their platform.
Yeah, you don't have to. There's no denying it now. This is their official list of demands. So anybody who tells you otherwise, you could say, "No, I'm not racist." This is their own words. It's right here, buddy. It's right here. There ain't no fucking denying it now. You're all fucking wackos. You're all fucking anarchist wackos that hate America and want to fucking destroy us. So you want to, if anybody supports that, if anyone whites that supports that, you go, "Oh, you want your children to be enslaved for their whole lives? You're fucking disgusting. You're a piece of shit."
I think
I mean,
the
you could
Black
just say
Lives
it.
Matter motherfuckers might be
They
gone.
can't call you.
They're probably gonna be
They
done
can't.
by next summer anyway, regardless of what
Oh,
happens in the
dude! After
election.
the election, you'll never hear from them
It
again.
doesn't
They're
even
just
matter who wins. They're dying down regardless.
they're done. The DNC in the media is only trying to like barely hold it together until the
The
election.
DNC will throw them. The Dems will throw them to the side so quick after the election, no matter what. So it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, if they don't, it's gonna destroy the DNC.
Yeah,
Because I mean, you you can't advocate for these policies and expect any whites or
I
any
got news
Asians.
for Black Lives Matter and some other of the activist type. The Latinos are going to be a much more powerful part of the Democratic coalition going forward. So,
Well, I've actually heard speculation that that's one of the reasons why the Black liberation movement is pushing us so hard for reparations right now, because they know that this is one of the last chances that there's going to be a white majority, and once there's a Mexican majority, you ain't going to be able to beg them for fucking.
well, you don't hear Hillary
reparation.
talking about doing Black Lives Matter shit in the first 100 days, but you hear her talking about doing immigration policy in the first 100 days. She just said it yesterday. Just today, I saw it on my fucking news feed. They're gonna move on immigration quick if she wins, dude. That's just
Oh man, it'll be nuts. It'll be nuts.
they're gonna move quick because not only are they gonna have the Dems with them, of course. Some of these cucked Republicans that barely survived are there. After a wave, if that's what happens, they'll go right along with it. So if you want to see immigration reform fail, you need to probably get out and vote Trump, because if she gets in, it's gonna move quick, dude. So quick. They're gonna. Oh man, it'll be blazing. It'll be so fast.
I got a related topic on this. Another story I just published, and it has to do with the movement for Black Lives. That's the group that we've been talking about that has this list of demands. It's what is Black Lives Matter's list of demands, but the official name for this new group is Movement for Black Lives. And it turns out they've actually, they're basically an Occupy 2.0 movement where they've taken all their same Marxist demands and cooked them in this list of demands, but they've also taken over a park in New York City and they've occupied it. And they call it Abolition Park. And that's to make it clear that their movement is not a reform movement. They're not trying to reform the police at all. They only want to abolish the police. That's all they'll take.
Yeah, I would say that that's not likely to happen, is it? They're not likely to abolish the police.
New York City, you think they're gonna abolish the fucking police?
That's the only thing keeping that fucking place going. Like,
dude, any city. It's like they don't even get it. And the thing that they really don't get is like, these people, they have a lot of enemies, and the only thing that's stopping people from I don't know. It seems like they want a race war, but why would you want a race war if you're a small percentage of the population? And if you're actually calling for the police to be abolished, what if everyone else eventually agrees with you and they're like, okay, just fucking abolish them, and then everyone else went and killed them, and then it was like, okay, well, they're dead. Now we could put the police back and all our problems are solved. It seems like that's what they're asking for. And I'm not saying that's a good idea, but it's like, what the fuck do these people even want?
I don't even know. They just want power, basically. And they want power over everybody else and whatever they gotta do.
I think they've just never been told no. It's like the progressives have supported them with everything they've done and sucked up to them with everything they've done and said, and they think they could do no wrong, I guess.
I don't even know, man. What else we got? Let's finish up on another topic, but let's make it random. What do we have here, though? This is totally unplanned. Let's see. Let me look through. What about the doxing thing? Okay, we talked about this with Goose yesterday. What are your thoughts on doxing? And
I don't know. I don't even what is there to say?
Is it this big scourge? You saw naked ape spurg out this morning.
No, if you're really that worried about getting doxed, make sure that you're undoxable. And other than that, who are you gonna be mad at? I have some
sympathy for the argument, and they're and I said, I have nothing against Carl. He's always been cool with me. It's not a personal attack, but people are saying Naked Ape in particular. Kraut lives in Germany. He says all this stuff. People are gonna get him. Whoa, doxing is wow, that's an attack since he lives there in Germany. Which that's true, But also, I don't know. I guess I'm just jaded now because I've seen so much, and I just assume everybody's gonna get doxxed on the internet pretty much because
Well,
I've seen
if you
it so
don't want to
much.
get doxxed, make sure you have your shit straight. Make sure that you have a username that doesn't link back to any other account that you've ever owned. Make sure that you use that you're not exposing your IP around. So if you're using Skype or something, people could get your IP. Other than that, nobody's gonna get you.
Yeah, I mean, just if you don't want to get doxxed, there are things you can do to not get doxxed. So, and if you don't do them, you're most likely gonna get doxxed.
Well, my suggestion: just quit being a bitch, because, like, I don't know, you only live once. Just go balls out. Just start slapping people with your fucking dick, and take names.
It was so funny. I'm trying to find the comment on the last video. What did they call me? Some people didn't exactly like Goose and I's take on the whole thing.
I don't get why people were mad at you because you let somebody publish an article like with their own opinions. Isn't that what like real newspapers are supposed to do, like a letter to the editor or something? It doesn't mean you necessarily agree to it.
He said Wild Goose still hasn't redeemed himself for that whole "I choose you" debacle with that girl from Gamergate.
What do you mean redeemed? It was hilarious. She committed suicide in front of a train, so we laughed about it. I mean, what the fuck else can you do?
Fuck it. I'm beyond feeling sorry about that.
It's not like she was murdered by a train. She fucking chose to do it.
Plus, she's dead. She's got nothing to say about it. Like,
I mean, what?
She killed herself. Whatever. I mean,
it's not like the train fucking.
If I killed myself, people would be making jokes about it. Like, I got news for anybody. That's just how it works. So whatever. With that girl from Gamergate who committed suicide by train, AIU's a terrible human being who is pro censorship. That's the problem. Look, I don't even really know AIU. I've never even seen any of his videos besides 30 seconds during this whole thing, and I've actually seen more of Naked Ape stuff on these videos trying to figure it out. So I don't even know this guy. I don't care. They're like, he's pro Hillary. I don't give a fuck. Like, that has nothing to do
I don't
with
care about any of this autism, to be honest. Like, all this YouTuber autism and drama that I'm hearing about, I don't even get it.
Yeah, I wonder how many people are like that. I'm trying to find the other comment. Somebody, I guess they deleted it. They were like, "Why are we going to listen to the people that?"
And they use the dumbest terms. They're like, you were doing targeted harassment, and they say that dude was saying that unironically. Like, that's a fuck. Like, he sounds like goddamn Twitter, telling me, "Oh, you did targeted harassment, and you doxed somebody."
Talking about Naked Ape?
There was bullying. Like, yeah, man. Like, what the fuck are these little childish terms? Like, I don't even believe in bullying. I believe in alphas and fucking betas. If you think you're being bullied, it doesn't mean you're being bullied. It means you're a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, man up, sack up, dude. Fuck.
It means you got punked. It means you got played like the little bitch you are.
This dude said, so the guys who co-opted Gamergate for their personal war with the SJWs now agree with the SJW tactics. Okay, movie Bob, I'm out.
We always did. What do you think Baphomet was? Like, for real. We always did that shit. I don't know what you're talking about.
Tactics are just that, tactics.
Dude, they were swatting motherfuckers.
They have no ideology. Tactics are tactics. I don't know what these people think, but anyway. That's a whole separate stream. I think.
Yeah, they think that one side could own tactics and the other side is above that. No, this is fucking war, bitch. They're like, this is war. We're playing to win.
Shit has to happen. It's whatever. I just don't. I'm just not shocked when I see people get doxxed. I'm beyond being surprised and like feeling like I gotta moralize about it. Oh, Goose likes to dox people. Don't talk to this guy. I don't give a fuck. Like, seriously.
He's dangerous.
He's dangerous. He's committed actual crimes. Nobody's gonna get that joke, but we get it. Anyway, thanks, man, for joining us.
Yep.
I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We had a substantive conversation for about 23 minutes, and then the last 5 minutes we talked about bullshit.
Yep, and check the RalphRator.com every day for updates about the Black Lives Matter and Jewish war.
That is a very good plug there. Thank you. I should have done that myself, but you killed it. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you later. Kill stream. This will probably go up before the kill stream, but kill stream tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. I'll have that up on all the audio channels later too. So thank you all. Peace.